Welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about a really important concept when working with forms in React applications. It is adding logic for loading states and disabling submit buttons. Guys, this might sound simple, but it plays a huge role in improving user experience and preventing unwanted tiny bugs. So there's a backstory to this video. So recently I was filling out an application online and I got to the submit part just like this and I hit on submit, as you can see. So as a user, I kept on hitting on it because there was nothing telling me that, oh, my request was successful. So I was thinking my network was bad, or I just thought the problem was for me. So I kept on hitting on it. But as a developer that I am, I went to inspect the code and I checked the network tab. Guys, guess what? I had made multiple requests to the server, submitting same info multiple times. And the bad part of the story is that the application clearly stated that multiple application leads to automatic disqualification. So I was disqualified, right? During the process of applying for that particular scenario that I was in. So I kind of felt bad because I mean it wasn't my fault as a user because I didn't know that the request was being sent. I just kept on hitting on it, keep thinking the error was from me. Or maybe I should have been patient. And after hitting once, then wait till I get any response. Like maybe wait for like 2, 3 seconds. But hey, we are not patient in this part of the world. So I need to even know, is the fault entirely mine or that of the developer? Who didn't think of someone like me that is not patient enough to wait after the first click? So let me know in the comment section. All right, so that's the backstory to this video, by the way. So let's dive right in. So for this video, I will be using this contact form. It's a simple contact form, just my name and email, just to show um how best to handle form submission. So ordinarily, if this form were to be live, it will be connected to a backend wherein a user clicks on submit, the request is sent to the backend and a response is expected either for the submission to fail or to be successful. So basically, the logic for this, for handling the form submission and adding a loading state to it should be done in your success block inside your logic for a handle submit. So that might sound confused, but this is what I mean. So I'll walk you through my code and show you exactly what I mean. So when the user hits on submit, this function is meant to, it's supposed to be triggered, and it depends on the method you want to use. So people use query. You can use any method, like use Axios, anything. You're supposed to request to the back end. So your logic for handling the loading and loading, like the loading stage, should be done wherever you have your logic for handling a successful submission. I hope that is clear enough. So let's get started. Well, before we get started, I need to walk you through the template I have on ground. So this is a basic state that handles my name and the email field and the input change function that handles whenever there is an input change in the input fields. And here, this is the skeletal representation of what you see here in my UI. And yeah, so for this video, I am using vanilla CSS. So all my CSS classes have been defined here. Yeah. So let's get started. So for us to implement the loading states, we need to declare a loading variable. So you could call it anything you want, but for context, I'm going to use is loading. Just declare the initial state to be set to false. So yeah, I have it here. Okay, so I expect that when the user hits on submit first, the loading state should be set to true. So when this is set to true, the user knows that. So we are going to be using CSS to control some of these attributes in such a way that when the user hits on submits the first time, this button is disabled and you see a text telling you that, oh, something is happening. So you do not have to, you cannot even when you try to click it again or you mistakenly hit the submit button again, it doesn't go through. So yeah, so this is it. So I am going to, for the purpose of that, since I do not have a back end um connected to this front end application, I'm going to use my set timeout to replicate that. So I'll set my loading to false, but do not forget to set it to true at first when the button is first clicked. So let's do that. Loading to true. Okay. So once we do that, and I want this timeout to play after 2 seconds. So I'm going to add an alert to tell the user that the form has been submitted successfully. Of course, you could use other method of notification. Alert is not advisable to use a toast if you want. You could show a modal after form submission. So form successfully. Okay. So let me just type this out. Okay, so after this is what I want to show. So let's see what that looks like. So I get this alert, but still the user does not know that anything is happening. So we need to use CSS to update this. We would also need to have to add a disabled state to our button. So let's go ahead and do that. And set the state to it's loading. So whenever it's loading is true, it should be disabled, and whenever it is false, then the button remains accessible. So let's test that out. As you can see, if you hit on submit, it's going to be disabled. You cannot make multiple requests again. So by the way, I added a CSS class that makes my disabled button to have this color whenever it is disabled. That's why you have that color, but the disabled icon showing actually comes from buttons by default. Because so that is disabled comes with buttons by default. So that solves that, except that the user does not know what is happening. So you could also improve your user experience by modifying this text to be dynamic in such a way that whenever it is loading, you see submitting something in action just to let the user know that something is happening. So let's go ahead and add that. So instead of showing submit just here, I could render it dynamically and set it to submitting whenever it is true. And else if it's false, I just want to see submit. I want to see submit. Yeah, so let's try that. Okay, so when you hit on submit, you can see that the user knows that something is happening. And when this is closed, goes back to submit. So this has actually we've been able to achieve what we wanted. So we've been able to add a loading state and show a loading text whenever the form is being submitted. But you could also add some spice to your UI. You could use a Lottie animation. So you could use an animation showing instead of the submitting text that we had before. So usually I use Lottie files. So I'm just going to head on to their website and show you how to access Lottie. So yeah, this is it. So once you are here in their website, search for anything you want. So the animation I want to shoot is on loading state. So I'll just click on this. So there are different categories for it. There's a free version, there's a premium version. All you have to do is just sign up and log in with your account, then you have access to it. So I would be using this. This is a free account. So this is a free template, and then download it. So okay, still loading. So I'll just hit on download and make sure my VS Code is open. Although you might decide to have it downloaded in your file explorer, then later on come bring it to your VS Code. So so if I want to download, you need to select the option you have. So this is for the premium users, but you could do the free version, which is text-based. It's going to come in JSON format. And once it's downloaded, I can have access to it here. So what I usually do is copy it and open an image file for it. We call this load. Then file extension should be JSON because it's in JSON format. Then paste it here and come here. So instead of having it's loading, I want to have, so whenever it's loading is true, I want to show my Lottie file. So by the way, I have Lottie from React installed in this project. So all you have to do is do npm install Lottie React like this, as you can see, Lottie React. Then Lottie React comes with some properties that would help show you animation. So I'm going to populate my animation data with my downloaded animation Lottie file. So let's just call this loading animation. Then let's import it here. So I'm just going to import loading, same way I spelled it there, animation from my images folder. So this is it. I think the name is wrong here. Yeah, so this is it. So it's expecting an else statement. If this does not show, if the loading is false, then I want to show my submit content here, and I need to add a property called loop, set it to true, so it runs continuously. Okay, so if I come here and try to make this request again, oh sorry, I think I mistakenly moved my CSS file. What could be wrong? Okay, yeah, so I think there's a glitch here. So let's enter this again. But it's very big. It's very big. So we need to control the size. So I'm going to add some styling to it. By the way, I already have my style for it here. So I'm just going to pick it. So what I did was give it a smaller width and height and set the display to be inline and should appear at the middle of the button. So this is it. So let's just go and add the class name. So it also accepts class name property and call it this. Okay, so when I hit on submit again, say it's smaller. So you can decide to make it bigger if you want. Yeah, so this is it. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for doing this video till the end. If you've not subscribed, kindly subscribe, like the video, share, and do not forget to turn up your notification bell for more tips and tricks like this. And I also hope you've been able to see how you can add loading states and disable your submit button to prevent multiple form submission, and also help your users to have a more friendly user experience with your website. Thank you. See you in the next video. Bye.